Welcome everyone to New Light Temple's July service. Our focus this month is on spiritual service, and I will be leading the service tonight. We have a fun-filled agenda. In a few moments, we'll have an invocation that'll be shared by Reverend Dr. Kathleen Regan, our seasonal observations, which I'm happy to share with you. I have a sermon tonight called What is Spiritual Service, where we're going to be exploring spiritual service from the many world's different belief systems. A guided meditation on spiritual service, where we learn to look within and ask for how we can be of service. Our universal blessing will be shared by Reverend Natalia de Resendez. Our experiential sharing segment, which is always a fun bit, is when we're going to talk about how we have experienced spiritual service. A few announcements at the end before our closing. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'd like to invite Reverend Dr. Kathleen Regan to come forward and share the New Light Temple invocation. Dr. Kathleen.
Namaste, everyone. New Light Temple was founded by Rabbi Joseph Gelberman as a haven where people of all beliefs and backgrounds could joyously come together to share their bountiful and varied gifts of spirit. New Light Temple is the ordaining body for All Faiths Seminary International. Our purpose is to provide a sacred space for all people of all faiths and ages to celebrate diverse religious and spiritual traditions. We gather for connection, inspiration, solace, and healing while fostering understanding, peace, love, and unity. And in the words of Gandhi, I offer you peace, I offer you love, I offer you friendship. I see your beauty, I hear your need, I feel your feelings. My wisdom flows from the highest source. I salute this source in you. Let us work together for unity and peace. And in the words of Rabbi Joseph Gelberman, never instead of, always in addition to. And now I turn the program back to Dr. Budd.
Thank you, Kathleen. That was lovely. So let's talk about our seasonal observations. It's a busy month. There are a lot of holidays and observations that we're celebrating in July. From June 26th to July 1st, the Hajj is the annual pilgrimage to Mecca that all Muslims are required to make at least once in their lifetime if they're able to. And this is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. July 3rd was Guru Purnama, which was a Hindu festival that celebrates the relationship between teachers, gurus, and their disciples. It's also a time to remember the teachings of the gurus and to renew one's commitment to the path of spiritual enlightenment. July 3rd, Asala Puja, also called Dhamma Day, is a Buddhist festival that commemorates the Buddha's first teaching, which he gave to his 5 former companions in Deer Park in Sarnath, India. It's also a time to reflect on the Buddha's teaching and to renew one's commitment to the path of enlightenment. July 4th, of course, American Independence Day, federal holiday in the United States that commemorates the passage of the Declaration of the Independence by the Continental Congress on the 4th of July in 1776. It's a day of national pride and celebration. July 8th was Midsummer, which is a pagan festival that celebrates the summer solstice, the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, and it is a time of celebration and revelry and it's often associated with fertility and abundance. July 10th, the martyrdom of the Bab, is a Baha'i holiday that commemorates the execution of the Bab, the founder of the Baha'i faith, in 1850. It's a day of mourning and reflection, and it's a time to remember the Bab's sacrifice and to reaffirm one's commitment to the Baha'i faith. July 15th, St. Vladimir's feast day, is a Catholic, Lutheran, Anglican, and Eastern Orthodox saint who is credited with converting the Russian people to Christianity in the 10th century. July 19th, the Hijra, is the Islamic New Year. Happy New Year, which marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar. It's a day of celebration and new beginnings. I love how each belief system has their own new year that they love to celebrate. July 23rd is a Rastafarian holiday that celebrates the birthday of Haile Selassie I, the former emperor of Ethiopia, who is considered by Rastafarians to be the Messiah. It's a day of celebration and reflection, and it's a time to remember Selassie's legacy. July 24th, Pioneer Day, is a Mormon holiday that celebrates the arrival of the first Mormon pioneers in the Salt Lake Valley in 1847. It's a day of celebration and remembrance, and it's a time to reflect on the sacrifices of the early Mormon pioneers. July 25th, St. James the Great Day, recognizes St. James, the Feast of St. James, one of the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ. July 26 through 27, Tisha B'Av, is a Jewish holiday that commemorates the destruction of the first and second temples in Jerusalem. It's a day of fasting, mourning, and reflection. And July 28th, the day of Asura, Muharram, is an Islamic holiday that commemorates the martyrdom of Hussein ibn Ali, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. It's a day of fasting, mourning, and reflection. So what we see is lots of different celebrations. We're celebrating things that have happened in the past. We're also celebrating things very much in the now and redevoting ourselves to our paths, all different themes from our different worlds, religions, and belief systems. So I'd like to share tonight, what is spiritual service and how is it defined by the many world's religions? I had a lot of fun doing some research on this. Spiritual service isn't always easy. It can be challenging to put down one's own needs and focus on helping others, but it's also incredibly rewarding. When we serve others, we not only make a difference in their lives, but we also grow as individuals. And spiritual service can be done in many ways. It doesn't have to be something big or dramatic. Even small acts of kindness can make a difference. We can serve others by volunteering, donating, simply being there for someone else. And it's not just about doing things for others. It's also about being present with others, simply holding space for them, listening to them. When we truly are engaged and sitting with another, we're offering them our time, our attention, our compassion, and that can be just as valuable as any other form of service. Spiritual service is also seen very clearly as a way of connecting to the divine. When we serve others, we're seeing ourselves as them. We're seeing them as an extension of the divine. We're not only helping them, but we're also helping ourselves. We're opening our hearts to the divine and allowing it to flow through us. That often brings a sense of peace, joy, fulfillment, and gratitude. In Christianity, spiritual service is seen as a range of practices: prayer, worship, acts of charity, being kind, even living a virtuous life can be seen as an aspect of service. In the larger, broader sense, it's following in the example of Jesus Christ. And when we study what he did and what he said and what he brought forward, we start to realize it's about love and seeing our neighbor as ourselves, that oneness, that connection that's in all of us. Forgiveness is a very big component. And of course, serving those who are poor and marginalized. In Islam, spiritual service is often understood as submitting to the will of Allah. This includes praying 5 times a day, fasting during Ramadan, giving to charity, and as I mentioned earlier, going to the annual pilgrimage at least once in your life if you are able. In Hinduism, spiritual service is often understood, again, as this notion of connecting with the divine, uniting with Brahman, which is considered to be the ultimate reality. There's a lot of different ways to do it. We see it in all of the different yogas and all of the different belief systems. There's a number of practices and charities and meditation. Perhaps the one that has the greatest focus is karma yoga, because karma yoga, when done properly, is recognized as selfless service with a focus on serving God. Isn't that lovely? In Buddhism, spiritual service is looking back at one of their very core beliefs, and that is this notion of suffering. How do we reduce suffering in the world? The Buddhists have learned and share with us over and over again that the root of suffering is attachment. And they are a joyous, happy people when you really understand what that practice creates. And there's a lot of different ways that Buddhists express spiritual service, and it can be in compassionate acts. It can also be in meditation. It's in their form of connection and joining. There is this notion also of mindful action, right action, and generosity. In Judaism, spiritual service is often understood to follow the commandments, follow God's commandments. And in addition to the 10, they have many, many other commandments that they look at. What we see then is there are ritual observances, such as prayer and going to synagogue, but there's also conduct. The ethics of Judaism are very wonderful, very powerful, very aligned with the idea of service and helping others. Sikhism has this beautiful, powerful notion of service called seva, and it's core to their practice. Serving the world is a natural expression of Sikh prayer and worship services. Imagine the scope of that. When one is truly steeped in the faith of Sikhism, they start to realize that as they cultivate their own spiritual self, it's often done best in service to others. And that's the definition of becoming this idea of a saint soldier. Taoism has a number of practices. As many of the other belief systems, they have acts of charity, kindness, prayer, meditation, living a virtuous life. They also have a particular practice of a 2-day service where they conduct very specific rites. And each of these rites can last from 1 to many hours. And if you're interested, that's a very fascinating topic to explore. The rites include purification, invocation of the deities, prayers, consecration and offerings, hymns, dances, and perambulations. Lots of different processes that are done in this very, very extensive 2-day service that they created an entire ritual around. In the indigenous religions, we see the concept of spiritual service based on this notion of connection, of oneness, that we're all connected to the natural world and, of course, to each other. And there's a number of different ways that they honor the idea of caring for the land, caring for the people, caring for the sick, caring for the environment. There's a lot of compassion. As I studied the indigenous religions, these are the things that they extol as very important for each of us, not just shamanistically, but as a personal life of recognizing that the divine, the great spirit, is in everything. In Jainism, they've got a very powerful notion of ahimsa. And ahimsa is really the way of non-violence. And so for them, this is a normal expression, how they can not be of harm to anything, including insects. So imagine that process of creating this notion of extending nonviolence as part of their spiritual service. So you might be asking, how can I be of service? A few suggestions. Find a cause you're passionate about, because when you're passionate about something, it'll be easier to stay motivated and involved. Volunteer your time. There are many organizations that need volunteers to help with a variety of tasks. And it could be things like working with the elderly, the homeless, or children, teaching, sharing, engaging, offering food, shelter, clothing, lots of different ways. There's a wonderful organization that is very active in New York, and I'm sure we'll hear about that later, in Mother's Trust, that does a lot of outreach. You can find volunteer opportunities in your community. Search online, ask your local religious organization, ask us. We have lots of suggestions. Our recommendation is start small. You don't have to do something big or dramatic to make a difference. Even small acts of kindness can make a huge impact. There are a lot of charities in the world, and they are making a difference. Find ones that you align with, and you can donate food, money, clothing, and again, of course, your time. As I mentioned before, listening is hugely powerful. Sometimes the best way to be supportive is to be a good listener. Be there for them and listen to them. When you truly listen to someone, you're offering them your time, your attention, and your compassion. And have fun. Spiritual service should be enjoyable. If you're not having fun, you're less likely to stick with it. Spiritual service is a vital part of all the world's major belief systems. It's a way of connecting with the divine, helping others, and building community. And if you're looking for a way to make a difference in the world, I encourage you to find a way to serve others and yourself in a way that's meaningful to you. And by the way, I apologize if I've mispronounced some of the words in the service tonight, but do understand that I am trying my best. So what I have for you next is a guided meditation on spiritual service. So what I'd like to ask you to do is to go ahead and please get comfortable, put your feet on the floor, and sit back, close your eyes, and bring your attention to your breath, moving in and out. And as you do, perhaps you could become aware of other sensations. Notice the depth of your breath, the rhythm of your breath, and the temperature of your breath. And when you're ready, allow yourself to take an even deeper breath and hold it for a moment. And now experience a feeling of letting go on the exhale. That's right. Allow each exhale to be a release of tension, a release of letting go of responsibilities, a release of concerns. And if you like, place a hand on your abdomen as you focus on your breath and bring your attention there. On the in-breath, allow your abdomen to gently expand, and on the out-breath, allow your abdomen to gently contract, relaxing in and out. Imagine with each inhalation that you're breathing in comfort. And with each exhalation, you're releasing any remaining tension. Inhale, relax, expand. Exhale, gently contract. And now bring your awareness to your heart as you breathe in and out. And if you like, place your hand on your heart. And from this place, gently and without effort, visualize, imagine, or feel a golden ray extending from the divine down to you. This golden ray is flowing down and around you, through the top of your head, and flows all throughout your body. Feel, experience, imagine, know this ray, this golden light of the divine. Focus and expand this golden light and allow it to flood and fill every cell, each bone, and every part of your body. As you see, feel, experience, and visualize this golden ray touching and filling each cell. Perhaps you can see a golden drop of that light in every cell, in every aspect of your body, filling you, healing you, connecting you with the divine to comfort you, ground you, and gently fill your heart. And as you bring your attention back into your heart space, be at peace with a deep breath in and out. You can relax your hands. And now, very simply, without effort, allow yourself to be in communication with your highest divine guide or your guardian angel. Jesus, the Buddha mind, Allah, God, Holy Spirit, the universe, or whomever you connect with to hear that small, still voice of divine love. Welcome this experience. Visualize, feel, or imagine yourself having a conversation. Greet gently and allow this voice to respond to your question, and simply become aware of how you feel in this moment and ask a simple question. How may I be of service to others? How may I be of service to others? And allow their answer. And repeat that answer in your mind. Notice how that feels. and express gratitude for that answer. Now, ask another simple question and listen to the response. How may I be of better service to myself? How may I be of better service to myself? And notice how that feels as you ask that question. And listen for that answer. And repeat that answer in your mind. Finally, express gratitude for their answer. And with another deep breath, inhale and exhale. Bring your attention back to the awareness of the golden light that always surrounds you, is always healing you, loves you, and blesses you. Feel, experience, flow with this divine light. And as you move into this divine presence, allow your awareness to come fully into the now, into the present moment. Be aware of your feet on the floor. Notice your breath moving in and out. And whenever you're ready, take a deep breath in and out, feeling that sense of gratitude for the present moment, the eternal always, the forever now. And whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes and be here with all of us now. And I wish you endless peace and heartfelt awareness of how you can be of better service both to others and to yourself. We have a wonderful original song by Reverend Katherine Congdon called Call on Me, Lord. Feel free to stay in that meditative, connective place as you listen and read the lyrics of this beautiful song.
Lord, where do you want me to serve you? Show me the path for my life. I want to be of use. Dear Lord, you call to me and I hear. Your spirit reaches deep into my heart, transforming, inspiring me. We are called each and every day, in everything we do and say, in our own unique way, to serve with love. Dear Lord, opportunities abound to help my brothers and my sisters in service to creation, to the vine. Your servant hears your call. I am ready to serve you through all that is and all that comes. We are called each and every day, in everything we do and say, in serve with love. You are light, you are love incarnate. By many names you are known. Some are Allah, Yahweh, Shiva, God, Creator, Divine One. Please fill my heart with your light. Please fire my life with your love. Dear Lord, filled with your spirit, I can spread your love to all the world. Though I may doubt myself, I have a place to serve. Filled with your spirit, anything is possible. Filled with your spirit, anything at all. Through your spirit, we're all connected. We are called each and every day, in everything we do and say, in our own unique way, to serve with love. We are called each and every day, in everything we do and say, in our own unique way, to serve with love.
Such a beautiful song. Thank you, Reverend Katherine. I'd like to ask Reverend Natalia to come forward and share our universal blessing. Reverend Natalia.
Thank you, Rev Bud. Our universal blessing. The divine bestows these blessings on us all. Miraculous love and providence, comfort, hope, and healing, understanding hearts, resistance to temptation, freedom from egoism, equal vision, faith, devotion, and wisdom, spiritual progress and inner strength, virtuous hearts, compassion for the less fortunate, and love for all. May these blessings of the divine rest upon us. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May we lift the veil and see the divine spark in all of them. Peace, shalom, salam, shanti.
Thank you, Reverend Natalia. That was lovely. So now we'll come into our interactive part where we can all come off of mute and share. Our theme for the month is spiritual service. So what we'd like to ask of anyone who would like to share, what has been your experience of spiritual service? And we'd love to hear, briefly, a moment, a minute or so. And if you would use the reaction button, and you can raise your hand, or if you don't have access to that, you can just wave. And I'll stop share. And I see that Dr. Paul has his hand raised, and I would love to invite Dr. Kapal to, if you like, you can turn on your video, and we would love to hear your insights.
I guess, thank you. I guess my video is some way not coming.
Okay.
But what I like to do is first thank you for including the Sikhism in the service part. And I want to expand a little bit on that. Selfless service is a core principle of Sikhism. And in that, there are three forms of it: intellectual, financial, and physical. Intellectual is your skills which you have, like reading a scripture or doing singing or your computer skills or any other carpentry skills, any of those things which you share with others. That's your intellectual service. Your financial service is contributing wherever the need is to help develop the programs. And this physical need is, example is a langar. You bring food and other things from home and put it together and then serve each other and serve the people who join you. And the similar kind of practice then you continue in the communities to help feed the hungry and others. And if someone needs, let's say, grass mowed on their house, around their house, helping them. An elderly person needs help with groceries, helping. All those kind of things included in the physical service. I just want to expand on that. Thank you.
Thank you. That was lovely. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Who else would like to share their experience or insights on spiritual service? Reverend Don.
As you can see, I have a lot of hands up there. I think my experience has been often what I call guided by the universe. That is, things appear in my life, and to be aware of the need to step in and look to fill it. It can be, I can look over my history, and there's a number of occasions where I had friends who had sons or daughters who had, problems with drugs. And for whatever reasons, I was approached to create some kind of connection with them because I was younger at the time. And it just seemed kind of the natural thing to do. And it's one of those things that you never realize the impact you make. It seems like you're doing something and you don't really see results. And then maybe several years later, you hear the story. It's one of those things in the Course that says, when healing is done, it only needs to be done once.
Mhm.
And it will be received when the opening is there. Another situation just came up like that just a couple of weeks ago with a friend I play tennis with. He has a 29-year-old son who is somewhat lost. He's had some drug problems, not quite sure what he wants to do, and is wandering. And you can see the tension between the father and the son, which is kind of a normal thing. The father's trying to step out, and it's an Indian family. So it has a different cultural side to it. And so we were playing, and so I said, his son was out there, I said, look, I'll just give you some lessons. And all of a sudden we have this relationship going. So now he's open anytime to sit down, and his father just loves this. It feels like there was a need, and it appeared, and I stepped in. I think the other aspect is with age, and I think at one point, Bud, you recognized or commented that in the Hindu religion, there are stages that you go through in life. And the final stage is kind of retreating almost, but it's retreating for me into a focus on the spiritual. And that spiritual comes in many forms. It can come in, donations you make. It comes in form of, there's an opportunity to teach. It just comes in, probably the primary form is committing to becoming a light, your own light. It's like, get rid of the bushel and let's see the light underneath it, and stepping out there. And when anybody does that, they're really contributing to the universal mind. That is, it's a simple thing to do. It's just becoming the spirit, the Christ self that is in you, and you are changing the world. So I let kind of the universe open the door for me as necessary, and I take up on it. And each of us has our own direction and our own guidance. So my thoughts.
Thank you very much, Reverend Don. That was lovely. And you covered a lot of ground. Really, really powerful. Who else would like to share? Reverend Dr. John Crisco.
There was like a song some time ago, Bob Dylan, everybody serve somebody. You know, I'm not going to do my Bob Dylan imitation here. We're serving something all of the time. If we think we're here for ourselves, well, I doubt any of the 13 of us that's a particularly strong thought for them. But even in the greater world, you know, even when that seems to be so, it's not so. We're used, we're always being used to serve. For me, I've done service in some form or another for 43, 44 years. Yeah. Anyway, it's not important what my story is. But what I did learn is, what I'm learning, present tense, is how conscious do I want to be in my service? Because we're going to be serving something. If you know, it could be your ego. That's the biggie. I'm not going to give a percentage, but it seems like that's the highest level of service from the human perspective that gets done. We're serving our egos and self. But even that is serving a higher purpose. The higher purpose is always there. God's always there. God's in charge. I'm not. And when I give over to that, it opens up. The more I give over to that, the two things that happen is the more able I am to be a better servant, and the more fun it is. And you mentioned the word retreat, Don, and I like words plays. So I'm going to have a re-treat, because I like what Bud said. It's got to be fun. You know, it's got to be a treat. You know, it's got to be something that you're engaged in. We're going to do something. And the best choices seem to open up for me in my heart when it's joyful and I'm consciously participating in what God wants for me to do. But if I think I'm doing anything, grandkids help, friends help. Everything's a reminder that I'm not doing anything at all, but I can participate when I put myself, to the extent that I can, aside and say, what do you want? You know, and it's like, and then it's a conscious thing, but we're all serving something.
I like the idea of conscious service. That is huge. Yes. How many, and in a previous conversation that we've had, it is interesting to explore our motivations for service. That's all. I've done that, I think, a couple of years ago, but the point is, think of it like this. Here's a good example. Let's say that you see someone on a street corner panhandling, and you decide to give that person $1, just as an example. What is your motivation for doing so? Do you feel sorry for them? Do you feel concerned about them? Are you doing it out of fear? Are you doing it out of joy? Are you at peace while you're doing it? What thoughts are going through your mind? What thoughts do other people have when they're participating in whatever that act of charity is? Do they feel like they're the greater and the other person is the lesser? What's going on? So I encourage you to follow John's suggestion of being conscious while you're of service, and ask yourself, what is my motivation for doing this? What is my drive? What do I hope to accomplish here? And if we look at it through the lens of compassion, like Buddhist compassion as an example, it becomes a place of neutrality. It's not, I'm trying to correct this person, I'm trying to fix this person, I'm trying to heal this person. I'm merely recognizing that this is where they are. and is perfect. And I'm offering what I can. Ergo, the open hands with love. Who else would like to share? Margie, please come off of mute.
There we go. I didn't know if I hit it or not.
You did.
Hi, guys. It's so good to see all of you. I have actually missed y'all in New York, which is strange to me. Needless to say, I was asked when I came back and got back home, I was asked by my minister who graduated from All Faiths last year to consider leading and setting up a meeting for those in the recovery community. I have a long history of that. And I finally said, yes, I would do that as a service to the community, as long as I could do it in an open manner and make it available to the underserved. We have a large underserved population in the area that I live in. And I wanted to open it to those individuals and got a rousing yay, of course. And the cool thing, the thing that I did not expect was I asked one of my associates that I have been working with and teaching if she wanted to if she wanted to help me, if she wanted to. Well, she said yes, possibly because she felt pressured because she's working with me, but nevertheless, the really wonderful thing about it was that I did not expect that to happen, and to be able to turn around and teach the technique of how you begin to do this kind of service work and you let spirit lead. I kept telling people all the time, I just will know, spirit will tell me. And it falls in my lap, exactly like Reverend Don said, and it has fallen in my lap. And these people that know me have come to me, and I'm teaching them how to do the same thing and take it out into the community. It's not so very hard. I just had to be open and willing. So, namaste. It's so good to see you all.
Good to see you. Thank you so much. Who else would like to share? We have time for a couple more. Marguerite. Good.
I agree so much with people's and can identify with experiences in the past. And I'm at a stage of my life where memories are so important. But currently I'm in California with 4 grandchildren. And I believe that there's really been spiritual moments while I've been with the family that have come just kind of naturally in terms of being able to be a listener to the kids and hear what they're saying and wanting to be available to them. And I think listening is a service that I've practiced, and I believe that with the grandkids, I've really been able to connect with them. So that's, I think, a spiritual service.
Very much so. Absolutely. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Reverend Larry and Reverend Tamar, could you come on and tell us 2 things, please? First of all, share your quote. I love that. And then number 2, could you talk a little bit about Mother's Trust? Because I know that
Mother's Kitchen, you mean? Mother's Trust is in Michigan.
We do Mother's Kitchen once a month.
I mean, Mother's Kitchen, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Tamar was just saying she might want to share about Mother's Kitchen. I just want to say one quick thing off of, besides that, is that this particular group of people that we have here, I think we all know that we all know the joy of service and the background that we have and coming through AFSI. It's so much a part of everything that everyone here does all the time. And we serve one another and we serve when we are grateful. and it just goes round and round. So anyway, the quote, if you want me to read
Yes.
the quote, and I Googled it to make sure I got it right, but this is my favorite quote on service from Rabindranath Tagore. He said, "I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy."
Very, very powerful. And then a little bit on Mother's Kitchen, please, because I know that that's a wonderful act of service.
Well, we just do once a month. We do the shopping for the kitchen. We serve about 100 to 200 meals. A group of people get together and cook for the morning, and then we serve in the afternoon, and people come who need food, who are homeless or not homeless and just need food. And it's really a very joyous time for everyone involved. And everything always seems to work out for the best. Whatever we need, it happens.
Wonderful.
And I find that I can be very sleepy the night before, and oh no, I'm not going to be up for it tomorrow. And then when that Mother's Kitchen Day happens, there's this energy. There's this just grace just supports the effort. And it's my favorite day of the month usually.
Yeah.
It is for both of you.
Yeah, you've been talking about it for years.
Yeah, well, it's not just the one day for us, because we are the suppliers. Demar drives around to different places and we do a lot of shopping, and we do get reimbursed by MA Center, which is Mata Amatanandamai's organization, charitable organization, and we have Mother's Kitchens around the country and around the world. So we do all this shopping, and we get donations from Costco almost every month, $25 to $100, depending on.
Lovely.
The other people are coming that month
Right.
from other places that are asking Costco to give them donations. So we never know exactly how much we're going to get.
Yeah, that makes sense. But that's a perfect example of service.
Well, it is what it is.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, Don.
I'm reminded of a story I told, it was about a year ago, about a couple that had adopted a child who was now almost preteen or almost teen. And you can imagine when you adopt somebody who's much older as a child, there's a lot more problems that often come along with it. And he was getting into all kind of wrong directions and so forth. And he was now about 16. And his parents said, we would really like you to go out and do some service. And he says, no. So they made a list of a dozen things he could do. He could work at the soup kitchen, he could work at the playground, and they just went through this list, and he said, no. So finally they said, well, we got something that would be very simple for you to do. Whenever you go around town and you're entering a building, open the door for somebody. And he said, I can do that. So he started opening the door, and the response he got from the people who's opening the door was thank you, smiles, and so forth. And he ended up loved doing it, and it turned his whole life around. Here's an example of how service can come back to you in ways.
Simple act of kindness.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And Reverend Kathleen, welcome. Would you like to share your insights?
I've just loved listening to all of the wisdom that's presented itself here tonight. My service is in serving the hospice community. I've been doing that for about 20 years. And the way that it's unfolding now is that once a week I go over to a hospice home, a hospice house, and spend some time with 3 or 4 people. They only have 5 beds there. But this is the place, I can't call it fun, but I would call it joyous. And this is the place where I do feel most connected to God. And that's been mentioned here before. I get just as much, if not more, from providing the service. And I agree with so much of what everybody has said. What I used to think you had to save the world. Now I know you just do what's put in front of you, and it's enough.
That's so powerful, Kathleen. You just do what's in front of you. Yes, that's very much in alignment with what Margie said. You know, it's like just be there and it'll show up, right? Whatever is necessary. Wonderful, lovely, thank you. And Reverend Laura, would you like to share?
I just wanted to respond to Reverend Marguerite that as a therapist, a lot of what I do is help people find their love story, you know, not just the pain story, but, you know, to build up who is there for them and find a teacher or somebody who made a difference in their lives. And mostly it's grandparents, you know? And so I just really want to say that it's, except if your grandparent was, you know, completely horrible human being, grandparents serve this incredibly important function of just emanating love without all of the strings and hooks and expectations that parents unconsciously always extend. And so that the pureness and of the innocence of a love of a grandparent for their cute and delightful grandchild for whom they are not responsible is extremely beneficial. So I was thrilled to hear your story. And I'm not a grandmother, but my my niece, who I had a big part in raising, has a 2-year-old, and she and her husband came to visit me this past weekend, and I hadn't seen the little one since April, I guess. And I mean, it's clear that I'm like in her psyche. Her reaction to seeing me was so powerful. It's clear that I in front of me to do is to keep showing up in her life. That's all. Thanks. And when you get to announcements, I have an announcement.
I will, and I will ask you actually and John to come back and talk a little bit about your announcement that's coming up. Reverend Natalia, yes, please.
I am a grandmother, and I honestly believe and feel that this is the greatest gig that God universe has ever sent me.
Yeah.
Amen. Thank you, God. I mean, when I think of the picture of Rabbi Gelberman from our manual that says, I do believe that there is an 11th commandment, thou shalt have purpose. When this child came into my life, it was clearly evident to me that that was my 11th commandment.
Yeah, Reverend Burke had her hand up. She's kind of blanked out there, but I don't know if she...
Thank you. Thank you all so much for this beautiful service tonight. I have for several years now been a chaplain at a hospital and also hospice chaplain. And it's an incredible honor to be welcomed as a stranger into these really deep and painful and traumatic times in people's lives. It's just an incredible honor. And the gratitude that they show is beyond. And it's so interesting. Even people who say they don't believe in anything, or even that they're an atheist, want me to pray for them. And they say, thank you so much. It's just incredibly joyful. And the occasion when I feel like I'm not really praying through, like I'm not really connecting, sometimes I have to fast a little bit to find out why. And it might be that the person is afraid of something and that I have that same fear myself. And so it's a great opportunity for me to look at my flaws or wounds and let go of them, and can then help other people even more. So anyway, thanks for letting me share.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, often, and this is something that, Reverend Don just shared, by helping others, we're helping ourselves. That was part of the meditation. And when we start to realize that we are more connected and we're more one than we may realize, that's really all we're doing, is we're helping the all, we're helping the one. Yeah, lovely stuff. Thank you so much. Appreciate all of your insight and your sharing. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Dr. Kripal, did you want to share something else?
Yes, I want to say that, that Saint Francis prayer, which comes from the Catholic Churches, I think that's very timely to talk about a little bit, because that shows us how volunteering and sharing and all, and doing those things not only helps others, but also helps us by bouncing back joy in our lives. I just want to share that with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that and agree very, very much. Let's move forward. So we'll have our announcements and then we'll have a closing. Our themes, our interfaith themes throughout the year are, as you can see here, right now we are in service. You can see our upcoming themes. And when you look at the whole year, if there are any themes that you're looking at and that you are interested in or thinking more about, then please reach out. And if you'd like to participate, even in a small way, we'd love to have you support us and join us and have fun, maybe even leading a service. Next month, we're focusing on surrender and serenity. That'll be on August 24th. So it'll be actually on the fourth Thursday. There's 5 Thursdays in August. So that'll be on August 24th. And we'd invite you to join us then. You'll be seeing an invitation as we go out. Reverend Patricia Conte-Nelson was ordained as an interfaith minister by AFSI, and she just released her second book in her volume set, Tuning into Spirit, a lovely message that provides an insight into recognizing power, joy, and happiness is available to all of us throughout our experience, and that guidance that comes in when we open up to Spirit. Reverend Dr. Jon Mundy has ongoing classes that will be starting up again in August on an amazing topic of time, a vast illusion. You can go to miraclesmagazine.org and sign up for his summer class. And while it is $20 a class, they do have scholarships available so that cost can go down to nothing. He has Sunday with Mundy, and on Sunday, August 20th, he'll be interviewing Robert Perry, who is a major participant in the Course in Miracles. One of the things that he really created was his deeper dive into the Course and came up with an entire new edition, the complete and annotated edition of A Course in Miracles, which is based on a lot of the original notes that did not get included in the standard edition. Reverend Keith Lowenstein is a graduate, of course, of AFSI. He offers a Kriya Yoga class every quarter. His next one's coming up in October. You can go to kriyabreath.com and learn more about that. Every week, Imam Reverend Arif Husik, along with the Common Word Alliance, offers a wonderful service, a healing prayer for humanity. It is a full interfaith gathering focused on the collective healing of all of ourselves and the world. It is a beautiful experience for everyone. in August 14th through the 18th, there'll be the Parliament of World's Religions. In fact, Reverend Kathleen, would you like to share a few words about the event and the experience of attending the Parliament?
Oh, sure. Well, actually, I'm going to say a few things, and then I'm going to ask Reverend Don to add, because he knows a lot about the Parliament. He's attended several times. I've only attended one before, but the Parliament of World Religions has a great history. It started in 1893 in Chicago, and that's where this one is, in Chicago. It hasn't been in Chicago since 1893, which is pretty amazing. And it is a gathering of all traditions, of all religions, small religions, big religions, a lot of indigenous participation, and there's all kinds of workshops and discussions and panel discussions, and in the evening there's entertainment and really world-known speakers on different faith traditions. And it's just an amazing time. And there's an exhibition hall where there, vendors have tables and booths. So All Faith Seminary is going to have a booth there, and we'll be up all week, and I think it was in maybe 2015, Dr. John Crisco and Reverend Don attended, and they ran the booth for All Faith Seminary. And I believe that was in Utah. I think that was in Utah that year. And we always thank them so much for doing that for us. And so this year, I don't know if you're going, Dr. John, but hopefully you will. I don't know. But we will have a booth there. And McCore is also going to have a booth there. We'll be next to each other. So we're really happy about that. And Reverend Don, do you want to talk a little bit about the theme or anything else for this year at the Parliament?
Well, I think the idea behind the Parliament was getting a lot of different religious traditions to gather together and interact. And they had to find a basis for that, which was, let's look at problems or issues we have that are common no matter what religious tradition you are. And we will use that as the foundation for our gathering and the work. And the idea is to look at where you can do outreach, but also work through the governments of your countries that you're in, since you're covering, I think, 50 some or 60 some countries, or maybe even more. It represents probably, a couple hundred traditions in one form or another. So it's a very extensive undertaking. And I think the main goal really is, and they will take the themes that they have selected and emphasize those every year. There's one on the dignity of women and how women are treated around the world. That's a very significant one. There's one on global warming and the effect it has in the world. There's on hunger and violence. So, and they have different committees for this. So there's always a place to participate to the extent that your interests are. So it's a great event for networking. As I use the example of, in 2015, I was interested in science and religion, and I found this group in Tibet that was also interested in it. They had a booth and everything. And so we exchanged conversations and material and so forth. So a networking opportunity is great. And the Sikhs, besides feeding everybody lunch every day, which is their tradition, they believe that nobody should go without a meal. They also teach you to tie the turbans on their head. So that is kind of the fun part of enjoying and participating in these other religions. So look forward to it. It's 3 weeks away. Thank
you
you.
very much. Appreciate that, Don and Kathleen. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. I dropped in chat links to all of the elements of the announcements and including the links to everyone's website. So if you want to copy and put those into a Word document or whatever for later use, please do, feel free. As I previously mentioned, New Light Temple is the ordaining body for All Faith Seminary International, and it will be starting up its next year's program, 23-24, in September. And if you know someone who would like to go deeper into their own faith and explore the beautiful mystical aspects of the world's religions, I can't think of a better place than All Faith Seminary International. Join us. And speaking of joining us, on Saturday, July 29th, we will be having a Midsummer Magdalenic fire ritual. And I would like to invite Reverends Laura and Jon to come forward and talk about this wonderful opportunity. Laura, Jon?
So the Feast of Mary Magdalene is also in July. I put in the chat that it's on the 22nd to go
And
on.
I failed to put it on the list.
I know, it's an
Yes.
extensive list. We'll add that one.
Yes.
So we all know that Magdalene was the apostle to the apostles. So she's hugely significant student of Yeshua. And so that's the 22nd. And Lugnasa, which is the midsummer beginning of the harvest season in the Celtic tradition, is August 1st. So we're doing this ritual on Saturday, the 29th. We decided to do it 9:30 in the morning, so people can go off and have their summer day afterwards. But it's a chance to celebrate what's been growing, what's moving towards harvest, what we're releasing, how we're evolving on our own journeys. Jon, go ahead. You can throw something in.
Okay, actually, the theme of it at these cross-quarter days of November 1, February 1, May 1, and August 1 are getting yourself in balance, inner and outer, the male parts, the female parts, individual and community, all of these, the spiritual and the practical, all in balance and harmony, so that whatever needs to be planted, grown, developed can be made available. And the veil has often been said to be very thin. So we're going to have a wonderful, on the property that I live in, the Berkshires, at a burning bowl. It's going to be a wonderful guided meditation. Laura's going to do some of the guided meditation. I'll participate. Someone that works with me is a graduate of Kapala Yoga. We'll be doing some movement and dance. And the fourth leg of this very important table is going to be Maria Barrera, whom some of you may know. She's of a Native American background, and she's going to be also leading really the idea of the four directions of that sacred medicine wheel and bringing the indigenosity to that. So it's going to be quite experiential, to be prepared to put into the fire that will be lit at this burning bowl, and Bud, of course, and Laura, and everyone that's graduated through the AFSI. The burning bowl is very important. So to be able to put in what is potentially blocking or what is getting in the way of us fully participating in the harvest. And so it's a very special time, but very experiential. It'll only be about a half hour, 45 minutes, and a lot packed in there. So we have a number of people that are going to stay at my house, and it should be a lot of fun. But Maria Barrera, as well as Laura, Corey Vosberg, and myself will be the presenters.
And we will be putting this on Zoom as well, yes?
It will be definitely on Zoom, and I'll send the link to the Zoom right away so that people can actually be put on the calendar. Yes.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for doing this. And I'm looking forward to participating long distance in the event. And if you have any upcoming events that you would like to share, please send them to our email, thenewlighttemple@gmail.com. And thank you Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you all very, very much. Take care. Have a blessed evening.